So rarely do ideas come to us fully formed, like pressing a button and something arriving. We have to pursue ideas, let ideas percolate. Hello friends, welcome to this video. Welcome to this little cosy creative corner of the internet. Today I thought I would talk about how I develop my ideas for paintings and how the way that ideas come to me is mostly through experimentation, through trying things out, through having no idea where I'm heading, setting out anyway and hoping I will find my route as I'm going. Most of the things that I really like in my art making have come through a pursuit, have come through sort of chasing down an idea, sitting with an idea, experimenting. There's sort of a whole load of not knowing, a whole load of being comfortable, not knowing where the end result is going to take me. There's an ambiguity, an uncertainty that is part of the creative process, I think. So I just wanted to trace some of my ideas through time, just to kind of show you how I might go back to ideas, how I revisit them, how I push them forward, how I develop them, how I move them. So this is a sketchbook from last year. I think it's got lots of drawings from my class, the Still Life Lab, where I was exploring domestic objects and I was getting interested in a pot plant and certain objects. And so then recently I've come back to cups and plants, and in a much larger sketchbook I did a series of pencil drawings. So really just looking at some objects in my home and thinking, what do I love in the object? Just experimenting with some drawings. There were things that I was beginning to really love. I was loving the silhouettes of these leaves, the dark shapes of the leaves, and the coffee cups I was enjoying as well. So the next thing that I did was I photocopied some of the drawings. And in a previous video, I showed you me messing about with bits of the photocopy on big pieces of coloured paper. And I've sort of carried this on in my sketchbook, although I haven't quite stuck them down. But from photocopying my drawings, cutting them up, rearranging them, recreating different compositions, I got an idea which I really loved, which was these plants, these leaves, these shapes coming out of these coffee cups or teacups. So like a kind of magical lantern. We can never know what is going to lead to a breakthrough. We can never know what is the thing that is just around the corner in our art making that is going to open a door to something really exciting. And so I often find myself in phases where I might be sort of throwing spaghetti at the wall, trying lots of different things, not having a clear path to where all of these things are heading, but knowing that I have to find my way through. I'm setting out into the forest with no idea where I'm heading, and I might take some wrong turns and take some missteps and take the wrong path. All the sort of the journey is part of getting to what I really love in my own art making. So you kind of have to accept the uncertainty, the ambiguity. I think we can only see how all those dots join in retrospect, can't we? So after I played around in my sketchbook with those collage pieces, I wanted to explore some of those ideas in paint. So I had 2 days painting, day 1, day 2. They're not finished paintings, they're studies, they're explorations, taking some of the ideas that I enjoyed in my sketchbook and just seeing what happens if I play around with paint. So I had a pile of old paper. This is some paper that I've probably had for about 7 years. I don't like it because it had a grain on the paper, so it was just in a pile in my plan chest. I thought I'd use that just for some studies. And so these acrylic paint, acrylic ink on paper, and taking some of the ideas, some of the shapes, some of the things that I explored in my drawings and in my sketchbook, and seeing how they translate into paint. And this first set I just used really limited colours. I had sort of 3 or 4 colours on my palette and just used them because I was just wanting to make life easy for myself and playful. Started to have things coming out of teacups. So that was day 1, and then I thought really I wanted to be a little bit more adventurous with colour. These colour choices are very predictable for me, and I wanted to challenge myself to be a little bit more adventurous. So I did a couple more paintings on the second day using colours that I may not use that often, oranges and purples, and I've added a couple of layers of paint to each of these. They are, I think, guiding me in the direction of what I will do next. So my plan is to take some of the things that I have sort of discovered through this experimentation, through trying things out, and apply them to bigger paintings. There are moments and passages and marks and colour combinations and shapes and ideas in these paintings that I know will come out in my next set of paintings, giving me ideas, information, clues that I can take forward. So I just wanted to show you because they came from some drawings that I then turned into collages, which I've now turned into these quick paintings, and the next manoeuvre will be to do some more resolved paintings, bringing some of these ideas, some of the little, nuances, some of the things that I've noticed and enjoyed into my painting. I just think as artists, our job is to set out. Sometimes we get lost, sometimes we get stuck, and then we have to find our way through, don't we? We have to keep going, keep paying really close attention and see what our creations are telling us in terms of what we're interested in, what we're enjoying, what we want to explore further. And I think creativity generally goes through cycles where we can't always be in the harvesting phase. I've been working as an artist for 12 years now, and I've really become much more comfortable with the not knowing what I'm doing, really. Not always knowing that this will lead to this, that will lead to this, will lead to that. I don't know where some of my creative experiments and explorations will lead. Some will lead nowhere, and some will lead to something really exciting. And that is part of the fun, actually. So that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching and being so kind and lovely. I wish you every success with your own creative endeavours and experiments. And I guess my advice and my rallying call is the point of creativity is not always the end result. It can be where it is leading us. So I think often art making is like a stepping stone. We jump onto one step and that leads us to another step and that leads us to somewhere else. And we don't know where that is leading us. But if we can get really good at paying attention to the things that excite us, then that's a really good route map